Hello, children. In our English lesson today, we're going to do something really exciting. We're going to be doing some writing, but before we can do our writing, we've got to do a little bit of investigating. I'll explain that in a moment. So, today we are going to be putting into practice all the things we learned last week, and we're going to be writing a set of instructions independently. We're still going to use the writing rainbow, and we're still going to use our non-fiction shapes to help us understand what we have to write and when, but we're going to have a go at writing on our own. Now, what we're going to be writing about is something I think you'll probably enjoy. It's about eating Oreo cookies. Now, although we're going to be writing about that, then if you don't like Oreo cookies, don't worry, because when we come to taste them, because that's what we're going to be doing in a moment, you can just try any cookies that you like, if whatever you've got at home. But you really must make sure that you've asked your grown-up if you're allowed to eat cookies at this time in the day, because I don't want to spoil your lunch or your tea or anything else. So make sure that you've had permission to eat the cookies. Now you're going to need a planning sheet, which is on our remote learning page, as well as our writing sheet. They're both under the English banner. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to collect some vocabulary. And in order to do that, we need to know how to eat an Oreo cookie. So there's a fabulous little video that I'd like you to watch. It's a little girl explaining to her daddy how to eat an Oreo cookie properly. So you need to watch that. And as you're watching, you need to collect some words. I need you to pick out the bossy verbs in that video that the little girl uses to explain each stage of eating an Oreo cookie. And you need to hang on to those. When you've got those, you are going to add them to our planning sheet. And if you look in the PDF file, it shows you exactly where we need to add those words on the planning sheet. It's on the far right-hand side. Then, this is the exciting bit. This is when we're going to eat some Oreo cookies, because we've got some really good bossy verbs. Might need to add some more in a bit, but we need to have lots of other ways of describing our Oreo cookie. So we need to collect some adjectives to describe the taste, the feel, the look of our Oreo cookie. So, as you're eating it, and maybe you could follow those instructions of how the little girl tells her daddy to eat the cookie, I want you to be thinking about, what sounds can I hear? What does this look like? How does it feel? And I want you to write those words down. Now, you'll come up with some, and your friends will come up with something different, so don't worry about that. What you're going to do is you're going to write your words down, and then you're going to look at the ones that Frida Fantastic has collected for you, and you can magpie some of those. That's perfectly okay. We do it in class. We all share our words. Remember, Mrs. Riley says nobody owns words. So that's really, really good that you can choose to use some words that somebody else has come up with. So Frida Fantastic has come up with a lot of words that you can magpie, and then you can add some of your own. Once you've collected your adjectives for describing our cookies, then I want you to think about, are there any other verbs that we might use when it comes to writing our instructions? Now, we've got the ones that the little girl has given us, and they're really good ones. We might want to change one or two of them. So write down some good ideas. And again, Frida Fantastic has lent you a helping hand. So once you've got all of your vocabulary, you're going to start writing your instructions. And we're going to use the same lenses that we used last week when we were writing about making a sandwich. Now, all the work that you did last week is now part of our sentence stack, and I've put that in a separate PDF file. I want you to have a look at it. You might see some of your sentences there, and that's the pattern that we're going to follow. So our writing today is going to include all the same lenses from last time. We're going to have our precise descriptions, we're going to have our noticing lens, we're going to have our powerful verbs, we're going to have our rhetorical questions, we're going to have alliteration, we're going to have that call to action. Do this now and you'll have you'll be filled up till lunchtime. We're going to have lots of adverbs of time, and I've added into the the very end of the PDF file the same time words that we had last week. You're going to use a conditional if sentence and some correct punctuation. Mrs. Riley is going to be looking out for all of your capital letters and full stops. If you have a look, I've provided a non-fiction map for you so that you can see each stage that you're going to write. And then I'm going to explain step by step what it is you've got to do. So you're going to begin with the heading, and the heading is going to have that how-to opener, and you can add some really interesting adjectives in there maybe. Then you're going to write the hook, our rhetorical questions. These are the ones that don't need an answer. Have you ever wondered? What would it be like if? Do you want to know how? And some alliteration. So I want more than one question and I want some alliteration, just like we did last week. Then you're going to have that call to action. Last week we were talking about follow these easy steps to make the sandwich. So maybe you could use something similar in this set of instructions. If you want to deepen the moment, you can add some additional details. Maybe another question, but not too many. I think 3 questions would be the maximum. As you go through, keep checking your work, making sure you've got capital letters and full stops. After you've written your heading and your hook, you're going to write your list of what you need. Now, it's fairly straightforward when it comes to eating an Oreo cookie. You're going to need a packet of Oreo cookies. You're going to need some milk. You're going to need a glass. You might need a plate to put your Oreo cookie on. Possibly, possibly not. Think really carefully about anything else you might need. And I know last time some of you wrote instructions about other things, but today I want everybody to imagine they're eating an Oreo cookie. So we're going to have the same equipment and the same ingredients, not quite ingredients this time, but the same list of things that we need. And you use that heading, you will need. Then we're going to go on to the steps that tell somebody else how to eat an Oreo cookie properly. You're going to need a subheading, and you can make that as interesting as you like. Do you remember last week in our writing we said things like, are you ready? Let's cook. Couldn't use cook this time, but there's different ones that you could use. Can you think of a really good subheading? You could ask a question, you could have an exclamation there, an exclamatory phrase, and then after you've done that, you are going to write your steps for eating an Oreo cookie in order using a numbered list or bullet points. You need to use lots of time words. You need to make sure you've got the right bossy verbs. Now, we've collected quite a lot. Not all of them will work. Try them out to see which bossy verb works best, following those steps from the original advert that you saw for Oreo cookies. See if you can add some extra description in using some of the fantastic vocabulary we gathered right at the beginning of the lesson, and maybe some adverbs. Those are the words that tell us how to perform our verbs. So, we might be pouring the milk carefully. Now, think carefully about your steps. You can't eat an Oreo cookie unless you've taken it out of the packet first. And that's not mentioned in the advert, but you're going to have to tell whoever it is that these instructions are for that they need to take the Oreo out of the packet. If you're having a glass of milk and you haven't written it as a glass of milk in the what you will need, you're going to have to pour the milk. You can't dip an Oreo cookie into milk if the milk's still in the fridge because you haven't told whoever's following the instruction to pour it into the glass. So think really carefully about all the steps that you need to include. And then when you've got them all, when you get to the end, I'd like you to make that final rhetorical question, just like we did last week. What could we do with these instructions? Who are you going to share them with? And then I want you to check your work. Can you make sure that you have got capital letters and full stops? I know I'm moaning about them all the time, but it's really important, children, and we need to check. Make sure that you've got your time words. Make sure that you use the right bossy verbs. Do your instructions make sense? Could somebody follow them and find the perfect way to eat an Oreo cookie? Keep checking our sentence stack because that will help you and will guide you through. You'll be able to see what we did last week and you can use that as your model for writing today. really looking forward to seeing what you do. This is one of my favourite activities, and please email everything to me. Have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, Year 2.